Welcome everybody. I have a special guest number 2. He's a person I was involved with in network marketing a long time ago when we were doing business, but we also became friends. And he's one of those friends that I think I always thought we were cool, but then life happens and we just go our separate ways, but it's good to always catch up and actually I haven't talked to you, Tony, in a long time. And
That's
so
true. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I always see you doing stuff on social media. I always like the work you do. I always knew you were kind of a tech and gadget nerd. I always think that's cool.
Yep.
You always have the newest stuff, which relates to the job you have now working for a big tech company. And you
Yep.
also have a YouTube channel, Lazy Tech TV, which I sometimes watch as I'm
Oh,
also
cool. Thanks,
into
man.
buying gadgets and toys.
Nice, nice.
So this is my guest, my good friend Tony Hannides.
What's going on, guys?
So Tony, what you been working on?
My day job is, as John mentioned, is with a fairly big tech firm, the largest software company. Well, I don't know if they're the largest anymore, but deemed the largest software company in the world, which would be Microsoft. And for the longest time, honestly, like the job that I have now is the job that I've wanted for years, and that is training. Like I don't mind the sales floor. I don't mind commission sales. I get it. I get invigorated by the angst and the intensity that can be there, but I also get really overwhelmed and stressed by it as well too. But I always feel like, especially when you and I were in the network marketing company, I did a lot of those trainings, but I couldn't really walk that walk. I was really good at talking. I was really good at, getting people fired up and things like that. And so that's what I do for Microsoft. I go into the retail channels with our respective partners, whether it be Best Buy or Costco, GameStop. And not only do I just talk about, Xbox and Windows 10, but I get to demo it as well too. In addition to that, they send me to different events like CES or E3. So it really wholeheartedly ties into like my whole tech background. So I love my job, dude. Like if I had to change my jobs right now, the only thing that I would make it different would be maybe actually managing people within our team. But yeah, we'll see how things go.
Yeah, sometimes I'll watch your stories or your social media content or your YouTube videos when you go to those conferences, and I'm just like, man, that's like the coolest stuff. And I wanted to kind of ask this because I do like to go online and see what's the coolest technologies coming out.
Sure.
What do you think is the kind of a hot new technology that's coming out and it's going to kind of
Well,
become a little more mainstream and blow
I
people's
mean,
minds? Or
yeah, I mean, I think right now we've seen the surgence of AI, artificial intelligence, in the form of virtual assistants, voice assistants, whether it be Cortana,
Mhm.
Siri, Google, obviously Amazon's Echo, and
Or
I think,
Alexa, yeah,
yeah, exactly,
or Alexa Echo, same thing.
right, yeah. I try not to say the wake word because people who listen, their unit might go off and she might say, I have no idea what you want me to do right now. I'm like, God, you guys. But no, the whole idea of the Star Trek world that we all kind of grew up with, where you could just say computer, blah 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 blah.
Yep, yep.
We are almost there, especially if you have Philips Hue lights or a Nest thermostat, where you can just say turn the heat up to that, and it's really cool. But we are getting over the hump of a lot of just trial and error to see what really works in the real world. But also like how we can really make these things smarter through things like neural nets and really trying to artificially create a brain. But the problem
Mm.
with that is it invades privacy. So as the human race, we want all the cool things for convenience, but then we also want our privacy. And I'm sorry, but we can't have both. We just can't. So it's gonna be a an uphill battle, and we're slowly kind of hacking away at as a society, learning what we're okay with giving up, as well as what kind of laws we need to instill to make sure we don't give up everything. And so it's that, for at least this year, that is a big focus. I mean, like last year was VR. Everything was VR and AR and stuff like that. Now that is kind of like taking I wouldn't say a backseat, but AI definitely. So for your friends that are developers, if they just look up any developer conference, even with virtual reality and gaming, there's a lot of AI in gaming and things like that, eye tracking and whatnot. So it's crazy.
Oh, really? Eye tracking. That's great. Talking about the voice, I just got it for White Elephant for Christmas.
Nice.
I got the Google Home. And,
Yeah.
And last week or 2 weeks ago, I had a fever, and I said, "Hey, maybe this is the time I'll actually use it." And then it was pretty fun. Like I had it tell me jokes and bedtime stories, and like, "Hey Google, turn on Netflix." And
Yep.
yeah, I do see it being. It was really convenient to use, and if I'm cooking, I could have it check the news for me at the same time.
Yep. It could be a timer when you're cooking.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
hey, countdown to give me a timer for 10 minutes or 5 minutes. Yeah, it was really fun to use. And I do hear that when people say, like what you were talking about, I think that's called like machine learning, where it just kind of keeps collecting more and more data to get smarter, so it knows our tendencies, our preferences, just so it makes hopefully our life easier. But in the same time, when is it crossing the line of us giving it too much information?
Exactly.
I
mean, yeah. I mean, people want to have that natural language. You know, when we came out with one of the first AIs, or what we would, it's not real AI, but what we consider to be AI back in the 70s, and it was a computer talking back to the person. People were like, "Wow, that's cool," but it sounds like a computer. I want it to sound like a human. But in order for it to sound like a human, like you said, it has to gather all this data to get all this influx of our verbal tendencies. And on top of that, we're just talking about English. You put on top of the Mandarin, Cantonese, Japanese, Tagalog, Ilocano, French, Spanish, all that. I mean, there's so much that is going to cause a huge influx of data that is going to be out there in the ether. And the biggest question is, how are these companies going to be responsible with that data? And we've already seen a bunch of data breaches, they're not really connected, but the fact that there can be data breaches, that's scary enough.
That's cool. I think it's cool that you're working in the tech field and into it. And I always like watching all your stuff. And for your actual job, you train people at some of these different retail locations on the different Microsoft products.
Exactly. So my job is, if you go to a Best Buy and you find yourself in the Xbox aisle, and let's say you're a PlayStation person and you're considering getting an Xbox, not just switching over, but just having a secondary console. My job is to make sure that the blue shirts tell you exactly what you need to know, instead of going off of something that they saw on Reddit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that is my job. Like if I've been able to delegate the proper verbiage and the proper kind of tone that Microsoft as a whole is trying to convey to gamers, that like what the Xbox One X can do, then great. But if you go to a store and they're just like, yeah, it's a console, it's new, it's the best one, and you ask, well, why? I don't know, it just is. Then I didn't do my job, or they didn't listen. One of the two.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think about working out. Like some people have bro science where they're saying this is the way you should do it because I'm buff and you should listen to me. But when it comes from the real, like a more reliable source, and for your case, coming straight from the actual company that developed the product, then you actually have people who work at these places that are knowledgeable and could explain it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, there's a pro and con to getting it from the horse's mouth, because the horse's mouth is going to be biased, right? So if I'm standing there and I'm trying to get you to buy an Xbox, of course I'm going to try and get you to buy an Xbox. And if you ask me about a PlayStation, I might say one or two quote unquote bad things about PlayStation. The reality is, though, no matter who you talk to, you're going to get some sort of bias. So the best I can do at least for my job, is to not burn the bridge to PlayStation, but at least say, well, it's good, but these are some of the its downfalls. But Xbox itself has some of its own downfalls, blah blah blah, and hopefully come to a close of sale there.
Mm-hmm.
But the selling aspect again is something that I don't mind. I enjoy it, and there's no stress, no like an abundance of stress for the selling. But training in like a classroom atmosphere or like a convention style atmosphere, that's something that I really enjoy. And something like when you and I were in the network marketing companies, both of them, like we would train Saturday mornings at 10:45, and I just loved it. I just loved just seeing people's eyes open up, like, oh, that's how easy it is. Like, oh, that's something that I didn't know that I could do. That's awesome, And whether they did anything with that or not was up to them. But at least me being able to get it out was enthralling.
That's interesting you say that, because I feel the same way with my current job. So I work at a community college. I'm an instructor and a career counselor, and it kind of relates to what we were doing in network marketing, the whole business, which is just training people was my favorite part of the job, training, mentoring, coaching.
Yeah.
And so I kind of segued into doing that, and you kind of did the same thing too.
Yeah, just
That's
in
cool.
two different paths.
High five.
Yeah, just in two different paths, but similar in nature. That's definitely true.
Yeah. I wanted to segue now into the stuff you do outside of your day job. And
Sure.
I know you have Lazy Tech TV, a YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
I know you have other side projects going on too. Would you say Lazy Tech TV is your main project you devote your time to, or what's
that would
what stuff are you working on?
that would be like my main side hustle, that's for sure. I put a lot of effort, way more effort into that versus some of the other projects that I do. I also have Lazy Tony Vapes, which is a vaping channel that goes over like e-liquids, mods, tanks, RDAs, RTAs, and then the whole industry of that. I have what used to be a vlogging channel, and now just kind of again back burner on the vlogging aspect of it.
That's how I keep up to date on how the kids are doing. So
I know, yeah,
she's so
and
cute.
Unfortunately, yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't really updated the vlogging channel. Kids are good though; they're good. They're growing up too quickly. And then on the side of that, I actually producing two podcasts. One of which is connected to Lazy Tech TV, and then the other podcast is myself and a friend of mine from Utah, who I know through my day job, and we do a format called two dudes talking. It's a podcast format, kind of similar to this, but there's not any kind of real agenda or any kind of like focus. It's just like, hey, I have something I want to talk about, and I want to record it. Go, and it's cool. It's very laid back. Not as laid back as this, but it's pretty cool.
It's two dudes
fun.
talking.
It's like exactly that.
Perfect title.
I think the one of our last topics we talked about was, hey, do you like buffets? Like, yeah, hell yeah, I like buffets. Who doesn't like buffets? And he's like, well, I don't like buffets. I'm like, well, you're fucking crazy then. Buffets are awesome.
Buffets are
You're
awesome.
Going to the wrong kind of buffets, my friend.
Yeah.
So
I go to the buffets and I find the most expensive stuff and I just eat that.
I know, because hey, you already paid one price for everything, so you might as well go all out, right?
Right. Do you have a favorite buffet place, by the way?
Locally
here. Mine is in Las Vegas.
Okay, but I don't count that. See, that's Vegas style buffets. That's in its whole other kind of like ecosystem. It's a whole other world. For like local like Bay Area buffets, I would say I don't know if it's a buffet necessarily. Fuji's, the sushi place where all you can eat.
Yeah.
So
I guess that's all.
Yeah,
I guess it depends on your definition of buffet. If it's eating as much as you like with the set price you buy, then it's a buffet. But if it's having like a variety of different things, then maybe not.
Yeah, that place is good. And then the more traditional buffet, at least here in the Bay Area, would be Moonstar, at least the one in Daly City off of Gellert. I'm sure you've been to that. Come on.
I actually haven't been to those two places.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
John!
I'm losing
John!
in life.
You lived in Vallejo. You were a skip and a hop away from Davis. We had reps from Davis. How did you not go to Fuji's?
I was
Oh
broke.
my God. Yeah, but you had two older brothers that could have spotted you for a couple of years, man.
Right. You know, I
Yeah,
gotta put that on my to-do list. It's
there
always
you
just eluded
go.
me. All right,
There you go.
Fuji's for sure
Now
because
you
I
can
love
take the
sushi.
wife.
Yeah,
Oh
I'll
yeah,
take Cynthia for sure.
there you go.
So I was gonna say for now I'm hungry.
My bad.
No, that's fine. I was gonna talk about Lazy Tech TV, and
Yeah,
what you do in there is you do a lot of reviews
yeah.
on different products. Um, just tell me more about that. I'm interested to know the content you create as well as on the back end of you actually creating it. Like, how much
Mhm.
time does it take to do all that? Because when I'm watching some of these videos and I know you work, I know you have the kids,
Yeah.
I'm always intrigued to know how people make time to do all that and what drives you and what's your kind of macro level strategy um, and reason for doing it. Like, what do you see? Where do you see it going?
So the biggest thing for me is time management. Like that's something that I instill not in just myself, but with my family, with my son and whatnot. Making sure that the hours that you are awake, that you maximize on every single minute possible. Unfortunately, that also means I am up late, sometimes till 2 or 3 in the morning. So I
Woo!
do sacrifice sleep.
What time do you work in the
Um,
mornings?
uh, 8 or 9. I mean, I have to
Okay.
get up earlier though because sometimes I take the kids to school and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, but the when it comes to Lazy Tech TV, it used to be Lazy Tech Guys, okay, and we were just a written blog, and we were your run of the mill tech blog, just like Engadget, The Verge, CNET, and we tried to be like those other guys that had teams of 10 to 20, sometimes 30 people, and there were just four of us. So there's no way that only four of us could do the work of 30 people. So we, through a lot of trial and error, we decided to kind of move toward YouTube because it allowed us to have a little bit more flexibility with our time. And we didn't have like deadlines. So instead of pushing out news articles the second that it hits the wire, we could take our time. We could take our time in doing additional research and figuring things out. Anyway, so fast forward till now. What I've set for myself is if I get a product, let's say I get a new phone, it comes in the mail. I generally give myself 2 to 3 weeks to actually try a phone out before I put out a review. Because you know as well as I do, the moment that you get a new product, you have that honeymoon period where everything the product does is
It's
amazing.
awesome. Yeah.
Even if it's shut off on its own, it did it so glamorously. So after about 2 to 3 weeks, then I put out a review of the product. The review process, I sometimes I do an outline, sometimes I don't do an outline. And all in all, the actual shooting of the video can take about 5 to 6 hours, like in whole. And then I use the Adobe Premiere to edit, and I crunch all that editing down to like maybe 5 to 7 minutes long because people's attention on YouTube is really short unless they're expecting a talk like this. Reviews they just want fairly succinctly. Um, so that in its own right is kind of a challenge because I know a lot of people in the comments would say, well, I have all these other questions. Why don't you do this test? Why don't you do this test? Why don't So I'm like, okay, I can't do everything. So, but how do I speed this up? So at the end of the day, anything else that needs to be done, we add to the actual website, lazytech.tv, and we add that to a written review of the product as well. So we've moved away from doing standard news topic because we just can't keep up with the news cycle, and we've done like how-tos, reviews, explanations, evergreen articles, and things like that. So and then it's just about dedicating like how many articles you're going to put out a week, how many videos you're going to put out a week. So for me, it's one video a week, and but then for like events, like you said, like conferences, I just went to GDC, Game Developer Conference, yesterday, so I had to push
Cool.
out
I'm
4 or 5
jealous.
videos. It was fun. Yeah, no, I mean,
As a
it's
gamer myself, I'm looking to kind of go back into gaming too. I'm thinking about like buying a system. I don't know what it might be, maybe an Xbox, and I want to start like a Twitch channel and like get back into the competitive gaming scene again. I'm really
yeah,
itching
dude.
for it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, just like when you want to start your podcast and you thought of the idea, you just have to start it. The only person that's stopping you is you.
Yeah.
And so that's why I have all these other projects, because there are sometimes that I'll have downtime with Lazy Tech TV. Like I have nothing to review. I can't do a how-to video on something. Maybe something mentally is blocking me. So I got to move on to something else that will continue to push me to be better, or to continue working to do something else. So that's why I have the other channels and the other projects in tow, just to keep the ball rolling.
I know what you mean. I think we're very similar. That's why I like you.
Yeah, well, I mean, other than the friendly similarities with other things that you and I both like, the reality is, like, I mean, we're both workaholics, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that's what it is. Like,
yeah.
I like working and my job, and even on side stuff. And there were times when I was so into my job, I wasn't going home until 9 p.m., even though I'm off at 5.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I became a negligent husband, but yeah, I'm kind of a workaholic. I like it.
Yeah, I mean that's I mean, even with my wife and kids, like that is something that I have to be very prescient about too, because for example, like yesterday, GDC is 4 days long, but with the
In San
time
Francisco?
agreement, yeah,
Okay.
and with the time agreement that I made with my wife and the family, I can only go 1 day, and in reality, 1 day is enough. I really don't need to. It's not like CES or E3 where it kind of takes a couple of days to soak everything in. At least for the things that I look for when I go to these conferences, 1 day at GDC was enough. But it's finding the compromise, right? It's finding the compromise that works for both you and whoever else your life immediately affects. And then everything else is just free time. And then you could either sit down and play video games, or just hang out with the wife, or do both. That's kind of what I'm trying to get Celeste to do, is play some video games so she can play with me. But
Right. Yep.
she's busy doing her thing. She's hustling on the side as well too, and making things happen.
Yeah, I know that's true. Maybe I should get her on the podcast, because I know she does like balloons. She does her job. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. No,
All this stuff.
I mean, inside baseball. You might enjoy having her as a guest on your show.
All
Definitely.
right. I'll keep that in mind. But yeah, definitely like time management, self-discipline, knowing what's
Yeah.
important in life and making time for that, as well as scratching the itch that we have, which is to kind of keep ourselves busy and create projects and work on things.
Yeah, I mean, you said it before. I mean, for someone who's listening or watching, if you have no inkling to do the things that John and I do, for example, whether it be doing podcasting, or making your own YouTube video, or doing your own Twitch stream or something like that, if you have something else that you want to go do, just make a plan and then just execute, or even better, just go do it. Like if you have the dispensable income to just go do it, then just do it. And if it's something that will show and give you enjoyment, and you find it being worth it to you, even for a little bit, that might scratch another itch that'll open another door to bring another opportunity to you. And I know it sounds corny, and I wouldn't have believed it myself, but I do now.
Nice.
Do I have headphones? I have giant headphones.
Is that Celeste? Hey, thanks for letting me borrow Tony.
She can't hear you, but he says, "Thanks for letting me borrow Tony."
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's the only ones I have, babe.
The wife just came in.
Okay, love you.
Oh yeah, going back to my other question, what's the bigger picture goal of Lazy Tech TV?
Yeah, so the bigger picture goal is to have it be part of a network. So not be bought by another network, but actually create a network. So Lazy Tech TV actually is currently a subsidiary of another company called Toople, Toople. And essentially, what that is the parent company for a number of other, I guess you would say, projects or websites. One of which is called Nearmint, and so it allows you to look up, like, kind of like a look up current auction prices as well as value prices for not just shoes, but also like what are they called? Like action figures or collectibles, anything that you would find to be a collectible item, whether it be a toy or a shoe or something else, like a really cool hat. That's what Nearmint, if I remember correctly, that's what that's supposed to be. There's another completely separate arm that is called the Radical Insider, and that's more on the business side of developing, talking about like different aspects of code updates and new code language and stuff like that. All those things I have nothing to do with at all. That's all my CEO. That's what he does, and how he time manages that. That's how he does that. So, but the idea is that similar to some of the other more popular websites that a lot of your listeners would listen to, like Engadget. Well, Engadget is under AOL, which also does TechCrunch, which also does all these other things.
I didn't know all that. That's interesting.
Yeah, and they're also owned by Verizon, which is a whole nother rigmarole, and I'm not going to get into on this podcast. Whoa. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we're trying to do on a smaller scale. Specifically with Lazy Tech TV, we want it to be I guess the end destination for kind of not obscure, but answering the questions that a lot of people have, but nobody can give a very good in-depth answer to. And it could be as simple as, how do I set up this specific printer with this specific computer? Or the topic of our next podcast is iOS or Android better with the current operating system updates that they have currently right now, and why? Like, from a very non-biased, analytical, objective reasoning, why? And those are some of the questions that we want to answer, because if we try to be like CNET, then we're going to get lost. But if we can have a different voice, then that might help us, grow bigger. Then we get sponsorships and things like that. We also have been talking about having not just one podcast show, but again, a network of different podcast channels where we, might have more focused things like IP law in technology and stuff like that. So definitely a lot. But again, with only 2 people now, it went from 4 to 2. So with only 2 people now, it's very, very hard to really
you guys
figure
are doing
out
all the work.
Yeah, I mean, I love editing. I love editing video. I'm editing some other stuff for another project, and right. I just,
And you uploaded videos today, right?
I uploaded like 4.
Yeah, because I did check out your YouTube channel a little bit today.
Yeah.
To dig in, and I ended up watching your doorbell review video, which had like over 200,000 views.
Yeah, that's our biggest one, which incidentally it's funny because that review was, remember I used the term earlier, it was within the honeymoon stage of me getting the doorbell. Plus, the company Ring did provide the doorbell to me. So I had this, when someone gives you something, you feel like you're indebted to them a little bit. You're like, this is really cool. It's like, is it really cool? Or am I feeling like it's really cool because I got something for free?
Right,
so
right.
I did
Am I really being played here?
Yeah, well, and then I did a follow-up video. Actually, my brother-in-law recommended that I do a follow-up video of 6 months of owning and using the product. And my follow-up video is pretty much kind of saying it's not a really good product, and not, yes, but the main video, the one that you saw, probably is the one that gets the most hits.
Mm-hmm. Talking about the whole sponsorship stuff, is that something that you're really going after? Are you doing things like, what do you call it, when you put the link to the product on your page, and if they
affiliate pages?
Affiliate marketing, links? Affiliate pages.
Yeah, so we did that. We have that with Amazon right now. In the grand scheme of things, if you're for people who haven't by this time, checked out our website and our YouTube channel, in the grand scheme of like YouTube viewership, we're very new. We've been around since 2012, but we just have a little more than 5,000 subscribers. And so for that, like if you have affiliate links to even very popular products, it's only going to generate, a few cents per month. So yes, we do have it. We don't rely on it, but that itself wouldn't necessarily be considered a sponsorship. Once we do get bigger, and when we do get bigger, that's when we can create like a sponsorship package, and then send it off to different companies and say, "Hey, Dyson, we have an idea that we would like to show off your product in exchange for either a free vacuum or monetary value." Or an affiliate link where we get $100 for every person that actually buys the vacuum from you, things like that. So there's a lot of different things where in the contracts with sponsorships, and every YouTuber and every website is going to have it differently. And it really depends on uniques, how many like brand new people actually go to the website or go to the channel, how many of them actually stick around. And things like that. So once we get to that point, then it's going to get a lot more confusing. For right now, the sponsorships that we're going direct to kind of I wouldn't call them mom and pop shops, but more like local shops, and saying, hey, computer fix-it shop in Napa County, if you would like to have your banner on our website, we would love to, promote you guys or something. And in return, give us cash, and if it works out, if it's to each other's benefit, then that's something that can definitely happen.
That's interesting. So that's how you make money.
That's one way.
A YouTube channel, one way of many.
One way. I mean, the other way, the main way that people make money is monetization of your videos. So every time you look at an ad on YouTube, the creator is getting fractions of a fraction of a penny toward a larger paycheck, hopefully at the end of the month. And again, the monetization and the adpocalypse on YouTube is a whole nother conversation I won't get into. But yeah, just know, as a creator, just know that A, ad blockers do affect me, and B, when you click that skip ad button, we also don't get paid.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you have
I click it like all the time.
So
I feel like if you're an ad, you have to like really capture someone's attention in those first 2 or 3 seconds.
The 5 seconds. I mean, that's why those Geico ads are so good, because they're literally 5 seconds long.
They are good.
They really are. There's
one Geico commercial that the commercial was literally it's something like, this commercial is only 5 seconds long, so you can't skip us. Geico.
Yep.
Something like that.
But you remembered it.
Yeah, I did.
You remembered it, and you remembered it enough that if it were to come up in casual conversation like it just did now, that you could bring it up at a party, and then subliminally somebody that is looking for new car insurance might even go to Geico. And I know that seems like a stretch, but it's better than a 30-second ad that no one's going to pay attention to.
Everyone skips. Yeah.
Plus,
we were just talking about Geico just now.
Right.
I'm not being paid by Geico. I'm just saying.
No, not sponsored. Hashtag not sponsored. But plus, from a pure marketing standpoint, a 5-second ad, arguably, depending on how many pieces of inventory it has, a 5-second ad is going to be cheaper than a 30-second ad, depending on the cost of the inventory to place that ad. So, but it's also why, like, if you watch other YouTube channels or even on Facebook, you're watching the video, and then in the middle of the video, there's an ad, because people will skip the ads in the beginning and they won't even pay attention to the ads at the end. But in the middle, if you're engaged in the video and then there's an ad, you have to watch it because you want to see the rest of the video.
That's interesting.
And I just got paid. So I feel bad about putting what are called mid-roll ads. So I don't put mid-roll ads, but they do pay the most. That's why. So yeah, it's a whole rigmarole of finding a balance with your audience. What works best for your audience, what's going to work best for you monetarily. And then for me, honestly, yes, getting paid from YouTube is great, but I was not getting paid for years, and I still did it because I
Yeah.
loved it. You
Yeah.
know, the goal wasn't to get the paycheck. It is definitely nice and it helps out. You know, I'm not going to lie about that, but just creating the content and being able to really do something that I really enjoy, which is talking about and teaching about a product, that makes it that much better.
Right. I completely agree. Um, I want to talk about some of your other projects too, to give them a little bit of love.
Sure.
Besides Lazy Tech
Sure,
TV,
man.
is there another one that you're really into or working on? I know you got the Vape channel.
Yeah, so Lazy Tony Vapes started that about a year ago. We just hit over, I want to say 400 subs last week. Was it 400 or 300? I got to double check. Um, but in any event, yeah, it was something that some friends of mine kind of came to me with because they saw my YouTube channel, the tech channel, and they said, you know, the way that you describe like the simplest technologies, like a mouse, for example, is, but it's simple, but it's also very interesting, and we want you to review like all these different e-liquids and these tanks and stuff like that. And when they
So someone gave you the idea.
someone, yeah, because I
Mm.
wouldn't have done it myself. I honestly wouldn't have thought of it myself because like I enjoy, like you can castigate me all you want, listeners, but I enjoy vaping. Better, much better than smoking that I did since I was 13 years old. But when they said, hey, this would be a really cool idea, and on top of that, we'll pay for all of that, I was like, oh, well then, yeah, let me
Yeah, sign me up then. Yeah,
sign me up. So you
get
talk
paid
about
for doing to vape and create content.
yeah,
Sure.
so vape and create. You talk about sponsors. I mean, this is a sponsor like almost through and through. They don't pay a salary to me or anything like that. But with regard to fueling and offset funding the channel, that allows me to invest into other things like microphones and better cameras. So things like the mod, which is $70, the tank, which is $40, the e-liquid, which is $60. Like I don't have to worry about that. I just have to create, and 403 subscribers. So
Nice. I got
yeah,
sub
no,
on. I'm
it's
not sure if I subbed on it, but I'll make sure I do.
yeah, thanks, man. No,
Yeah.
it's also the thing about the vape world is that it's also its own kind of subculture, you know. So I have to cater to them, but I take my analytical mindset from the tech area and bring it over there to kind of, you know, talk about it in a, like not a very analytical way, but like a laid back, you know,
Mhm.
in a lazy way. I mean, that's why it's called lazy Tony vapes. You know, just I don't want to get all too
Lazy
mumbo
tech,
jumbo
lazy
with it.
vapes. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
So
really
it's
cool.
fun, man. And the I mean, even that has its own conventions as well too. I've been to one of them. So, and we did some interviews over there and talked to some advocates for the industry and talk about you know how e-cigarettes weighs in on like actual tobacco, especially here in California, and the differences across the world, like how it is in London versus over here. It's crazy.
That's really cool. I was just looking back because I heard Cynthia opening the door, my wife,
Oh yeah.
and so
Hello.
so I was thinking, okay, maybe I'll wrap things up.
Sure,
And I
man.
feel like I gotta do this again because there's so much things you're working on that I'm curious to learn more about, and we could maybe talk about it another time.
Yeah,
Maybe
dude.
have you come back as a guest again.
I'll
But
be
I
more
think
than
I know the
happy
two
to.
things I wanted to hear about was just your job and then Lazy Tech TV. And
Yeah, my pleasure.
man, hopefully you. I know just me hearing what you're doing because I could relate to making videos and editing and having those late nights staying up till 2 because you're just in the zone and then you have to wake
Yeah,
up early the next day.
yeah,
And even though it's a grind, it's in a weird way, like I love it. And so
yeah.
you're kind of the same way.
I want to see more vlogs out of you, man.
Yeah, I was doing the vlog to practice. I was practicing the videoing because I took a video class or a videography class on udemy.com.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I
Okay,
took
yeah,
two
great
courses,
website.
one on
Yeah.
cinematography because I love movies and I was making fun videos for friends. Like when we went to a trip to San Francisco, I made this little video. I made this stop animation video for Cynthia. And I wanted to play around with more video stuff. And I was like, what's the best way I could like shoot videos? And I said, maybe I'll just start a vlog. And I do watch people's random vlogs here or there. And
Hmm.
that's when I started it. But recently I stopped because I just was running out of time management.
Yeah.
And at my job right now, I took on a teaching gig overtime. So on top of my job already as a career counselor.
Hmm.
And that new thing right there, I knew I needed to really focus on it.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, you know what? I think I'll stop for now. But when summertime comes, then I'll get back more into it. But what's cool about this podcast, it kind of scratches that itch
Yeah.
still. It kind of gives me something to do. And to me, actually, podcasting is a lot easier because it's just talking with friends, but
Hmm.
just recording it.
Yeah.
And so this is a lot more manageable than doing a vlog. So
No,
when I
I
see people
agree.
like Casey Neistat and stuff, or people who vlog daily and it's really good quality, I'm like, man,
Yeah, but you also realize, I mean, Casey Neistat's a little bit different because he definitely has big projects under tow, but a lot of these other like daily vloggers, that's literally their job,
right.
and
Yeah,
so
they don't have the day job like we do. And
yeah,
I like my job. I don't see
exactly.
myself going anywhere. But that
Yeah, I
does
mean,
take up 8 hours of my day or more.
yeah, I
If
mean,
it
it like I would argue if your daily vlogs were hitting like 100,000 views a day and you still had a day job and you could offset your day job income from what's coming from YouTube and all the other things that are coming from YouTube, like other sponsorships and opportunities, then yeah, you might want to consider moving over. But I don't know, like you, like I can't just do the one thing, right?
yeah,
Like I
yeah,
gotta do other things. So
yep.
yeah.
Very cool, man. All right. I think that's it.
Cool,
I'll
man.
add your links to all your channels and everything on the show notes or description or whatever. But hey, it
Sweet.
was good to catch up, and maybe
Yeah, you too,
we'll
man.
hang out one day. Maybe I'll get Celeste on here. I'll get you on here again.
Most
Maybe
def.
next time I'm in Vallejo, I'll hit you up. Maybe we'll go to
Yes.
Fuji's.
Yep. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
We'll do a double date. I'll finally meet your wife. I don't think I've ever met her.
How about Joe? Have you seen talk to Jomo still, my brother?
No, dude, I haven't talked to
Yeah.
Jomo or Jason. I mean, honestly, the last time we had interaction with your family was when your mother used to watch my daughter for a little bit.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know?
I didn't
Yeah.
know that. I gotta
Yeah.
talk to my mom more.
Yeah. Yeah. When Estrella was, God, I had just started work. So she was maybe 1.5, 2 years old. More like 2 years old. Like your mom used to watch her for a few hours.
Didn't know that. Okay,
Yeah.
so we gotta meet in person one day. We'll figure it
I'm
out.
down, dude.
All
Definitely,
right.
man.
Thanks, Tony.
Cool. Thanks, man.
Yeah, have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Take care.